Hi everyone, this is Darren with SimNation. Today is the 2060 draft here at WWPF, which is one of our SimNation leagues. We hold the first round live every season. So this one will be interesting because we have quite a few human coaches involved, as well as this year I will be picking on behalf of the CPU. So if you just give me 1 second, I'm going to get everything started and we'll get right into the draft. The first pick has actually already been made. I am aware of it, and I will be processing that in a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and import everything, and then we will get started. And okay, so checking. Hopefully a lot of people are going to be here. Otherwise, I'll be picking on their behalf. So I'm going to go ahead and start the video, and I will be quiet while we're in the video, and then I will pick up right after the video. So without further ado. Okay, so video's over. We're now into the draft. Just a quick recap of the draft itself. So this is the 2025 version, so look and feel a little bit different. I don't think it's so different that I'm gonna have issues with it, but if we look at the top 10 of the draft, and I've inside our league, we run off Discord. I have done a couple analyses for everyone, but according to the CPU, Jose Laney, the running back out of Louisiana Monroe, Robert Reichert, Floyd Hammond, Harry Berry, Luke Perryman, Maynard McKnight, Harry Mojica, Nicholas Overstreet, Richard De Los Santos, David McKenzie, and Leroy London are your top 10. Um, I will just stress quite a bit is whenever it comes to quarterbacks, just like in real life, it's often people are voting on or drafting on desperation. A lot of times quarterbacks go high in the draft only because people feel that they got to get them before someone else does, which means that often they draft people who are not really first round value. Inside this draft, there's only one quarterback who really is a first round value, and that would be Maynard McKnight out of Wisconsin. So this is Joe Dorman's former quarterback because he ran Wisconsin for a long time. And Maynard is an exceptional talent, but I would tell you that I think that injuries and other things are probably going to make teams want to pause on him. Harry Mojica had a great career at Virginia Tech. That's Bama's ACC team. Um, but I don't think he is a first round value. I actually think he's a second round value. He's still a great quarterback. I think he's going to give a team a solid option, but he may need to sit for a year. Luke Perryman out of Florida State is an interesting quarterback. He's pretty much good at everything, but he's not great at anything. So just as you think about it, if you're drafting a quarterback inside the league today, you just may want to think about that. I do think that Floyd Hammond, Nicholas Overstreet are definitely first round talents. Floyd is probably a starting wide receiver one today, whereas Nicholas is more of a starting wide receiver two. Richard De Los Santos is probably one of the more intriguing picks inside the top 10. I do think that he is a good linebacker. I'm just not sure he's a top 10 pick. David McKenzie definitely is a top 10 pick. I think he's one of the better defensive ends in the draft. Robert Reichert is also a top 10 pick, definitely a value. Jose Laney, again, if you're looking for a running back, probably no better than him. Harry Berry, I don't really feel that he is a top 10 pick. So with that said, Arizona has already given us the top pick for this, and unfortunately they weren't able to make it due to the fact that of the timing of the draft. So their number one pick, and this is Simon, is Robert Reichert, the tackle out of Oregon State. So we're going to go ahead and pick him. You can see that it did that, so we'll draft him, which will now put, I believe, let's go back to the screen. You'll see me jumping back and forth a lot. Do they not have an easy? There we go. So now up is Tampa Bay. I know Tampa Bay's been trying to move this pick, but we'll take a look at Robert Reichert, who will be likely the new starting tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. So if we look at him just real quick, 98 overall, 95 strength, 63 intelligence, 62 speed, 95 pass blocking, 86 run blocking, 70 endurance, and he doesn't have another trait, but I would say that that is a worthy pick of the first pick. I don't know if anybody would disagree with that. So he's a generational talent. I think I called that out in the big boards that this is a guy who you want to pick. So in college, he was a road grader, so really good. So now Tampa Bay is on the clock. If there's any trades, I'll look for that. He may be the best tackle we've seen in years. So we'll wait for Tampa Bay and then we'll go. But yeah, I would agree. I think that this guy is a clear number one. And he's probably worth the amount of money he got too. So now just for full transparency, because I know a lot of people ask how we do the ratings and stuff. We have a SQL script, we run it, it takes into account a bunch of different things, and then it randomizes the stats out of college. SNCFL, which feeds this league, has a lot of elite talent in it. So you won't see as many elite players. We do run a bell curve, which means that there can only be so many players that are up at the top in the 90s. Uh, Reichert, in this case, I suspect he was at the top of most of the categories that offensive line counted against, which is why he didn't see a reduction. And actually, let me update this. Offensive tackle, and we have the pick for Tampa Bay in, which is David McKenzie, who is the defensive end out of Georgia. He played for Shark in the W. Okay, and that's who he was going with. So we're going to pick him, and gonna jump back over to this. So David McKenzie is the second overall pick. Anyone want to take a guess about him? And this will bring up the Chargers, and if I remember correctly, the Chargers have a list. So David McKenzie's an 83 overall, 82 strength, 58.5 intelligence, 71 tackling, 81 speed, 33 hands, 60 endurance, Has pretty good traits, 90. He can play linebacker if he wanted to in time. He's a bull rusher and a developing star. So this means that he gets extra advantage on strength when he's rushing, and this means that he'll get extra advantage in training. So not a bad pick for number 2. Pretty good defensive end to start. And I think that there's no reason why Tampa Bay wouldn't be happy with that. And then San Diego, let me just double check this. I do believe has already given a list. Just going to double check to make sure I didn't miss it. Okay, so we will go ahead and let them pick. And I apologize, I'm jumping between like 4 different screens, so. Okay. Just general reminder, if you're in the league and you are going to do a trade, you do need to flash something at me in order to get my attention. So San Diego is going to pick, and they are picking Stephen Goolsby, the defensive tackle. And he is out of UCLA, so this is Stewart's college team. San Diego selects defensive tackle Stephen Goolsby. And we'll go ahead and drop that. Go back to the show. And up next will be New Orleans, who is a CPU team who I'll be picking for. So Stephen Goolsby, the 310-pound defensive tackle out of UCLA, 84 overall, 92 strength, 60 agility, 58 tackling, 69 speed, 79 endurance, 100 skill. Doesn't have really good leadership. He's not a team player, but he's good in all the other categories and doesn't carry a trait, but not a bad defensive tackle. Not sure that he is a top 5, but definitely is a decent one. Okay, that is not supposed to happen. So, hold on a second, I need to fix something. I need to figure out how to keep the CPU to stop picking for me. Okay, so Cleveland is up. We'll wait 1 second while I figure this out. Just looking to see if I need to fix it. They would not have picked them, but fine. So New York took Frank Hammond. Little bit of a problem there, but we'll go with it. New York Giants. Select wide receiver Frank Hammond. Cleveland is on the clock. So we'll take a look at him real quick. And Frank Hammond is one of the better Floyd Hammond, I don't know why I keep saying Frank Hammond's out of LSU, 77 speed, 77 agility, 94 speed, 64 intelligence, 86 hands, 92 endurance. He is probably the better of the wide receivers in this draft. And we'll give Marcus Witten yet another target. I'm going to leave the draft screen just for a second because I need to see something. I'm fine with all you seeing this, by the way. There's no secrets, so I'm trying to think of where this would be. don't think it'll be any of those. MVP draft default. Draft, randomized draft, draft normalization. Draft from history. Yeah, it's not gonna let me change it, so that's gonna be a problem. Okay, let's go back into the draft. So they are on the clock. I apologize. Thank you. I'm gonna try that, Peter, because I think that's gonna be the only way I can do it. Let me see if. Yeah, I think it's gonna be the only way I can do it. Thanks. I see that, and okay, it looks like he does have a file, so I'll just give it a minute or two. I'm looking back to see if he actually had said it, so. Yeah, I'll put in a thing that says that you should have the ability to say whether you want it to or not, but it's not that big of a deal in the end. We'll just jump off this real quick. I'm gonna go to media teams, just make sure. Cleveland, 125, 147. Yep, he's good. So just make sure I pause that again. So Cleveland will be drafting quarterback Maynard McKnight. Let's go ahead and enter that in. Cleveland selects Maynard McKnight. And let's go ahead and do that. So we'll take a look at that. We'll just go to draft recap. Houston is up next. So Mr. McKnight is a 90 overall, 92 arm, 88 intelligence, 91 accuracy, 69 speed, 46 endurance. He's not a great leader or team player. He's got low morale, but again, I think he is a tremendous talent. This is the only thing that worries me about him is that he's going to probably get hurt a lot. So he may not ever fully recognize the level of talent that he has. I'm pretty sure that I think I saw Houston had a thing. So far our top 5 was a tackle, 2 defensive players on the line, a wide receiver, and a quarterback. Candidly, had I picked for New York, they probably would not be a wide receiver. So we'll give Houston a few minutes. I do think Reichert definitely is a strong number 1. McKenzie's probably the best defensive end talent in the draft. Goolsby, maybe not a top 5, but definitely a first rounder. Hammond is a deep threat. If you're looking for a wide receiver, I think he's probably worth it. McKnight, if it wasn't for the 46 in endurance, I definitely would say that he is probably a top 5 easily. Probably still is, as long as he just doesn't get hurt. And go back to War Room. I'll take a look at that, Peter. I'll just go ahead and make this pick then. Actually, I may have Houston down as one of the ones, and I did. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to make the pick for Houston. Just want to make sure I got it right. Houston needs a lot. What they don't need is a quarterback. So Houston will likely be going with a cornerback. So we'll open up the big board real quick. They're going to go with Blair Bowden. I think if I remember correctly, the next pick is mine as well, since it's Cincinnati. For the CPU teams, we're just going to go straight through them really quick to get back to the human teams. So if I move too fast, I apologize, but Cincinnati has needs at cornerback and tight end. It's too early to take a tight end, so they are going to go cornerback as well. So we will look at that. The next big one, who do I have top of my board? Top linebackers, Blow Bowden. Harold Borneo will be the next one. And then up next after them is going to be Jacksonville, who has needs at wide receiver, cornerback, and linebacker. So they will go wide receiver or linebacker because I think those were where they had the two biggest needs. I hate when the CPU gets good people. So they'll go with the linebacker because I think they need that worse. And now we're up to Chicago. So we'll look at those real quick while I input those. We'll start with Bowden, but let me just update the draft. I'm sorry, I got to move things around again. And I'll bounce them on the, Peter, I'll bounce them on after when I upload the file to make sure that they're back on CPU. Houston selects CB Blair Bowden out of Ohio State. Cincinnati select cornerback Harold Borneo out of Maryland. And Jaguars select and Cotton is on the clock. Okay, so looking at this real quick, Blair Bowden is a 89 overall, 84 agility, 94 speed. He is probably the fastest cornerback in this draft. One of the fastest players in the draft. 60 tackling, 59 hands, 85 endurance. He played for DP at Ohio State. Definitely is a field pick for this position. Harold Borneo played for Maryland. He is a 78 overall, 71 agility, 93 speed, 59, 41 tackling, 58 endurance, 99 overall at his position in a zone corner, which means that he'll get some advantage when he's playing in the zone. And Chicago picked Nicholas Overstreet. I'll get to that in a second. Richard De Los Santos, also out of Maryland, going to Jacksonville. 87 overall, 72 strength, 75 agility, 85 tackling, 86 speed, 60 endurance. Knows his position really well, and he's a thumper. So he'll get added advantage when it comes to tackling, and he hits pretty hard too. So that's always nice. And now we go to Chicago, which is Cotton, who picked another Maryland player, which is Nicholas Overstreet. And we'll see what Mr. Overstreet looks like. So it's over to SOA. Mr. Overstreet is an 89 overall, 86 agility, 55 intelligence, 91 speed, 89 hands, 75 endurance. Again, knows his position, not a leader or team player. And he's a possession wide receiver. Probably was one of the better wide receivers to come out of Maryland for a while. So we'll look to see, because I know Soho was trying to move his pick. Which cornerback did you want to drop to you, Kev? So you were after Blow Bowden. I didn't expect Blow Bowden to make it out of the top 10, candidly, because I think if I didn't pause the draft, I think that he was going to go sooner or later. I know Peter's sitting at number 13. It'll be interesting to see what he picks. Kevin is at number 14 with the Jets. That'll be an interesting pick since this is his first year with the Jets. I think everybody was hoping Bowden would fall. I was hoping it would fall to Will Pittsburgh was picking, but I didn't think he would make it that far. Go back to the show. So it'll be the Dolphins, the Eagles or CPU team, then Templar, and then Peter will be the next series of picks. So this is SOA. Okay. I got it. Just give me a second. Richard Tidwell. For more room. It's this guy. Another Georgia player from Shark. Yeah, we'll take a look at him real quick before I pick for the Eagles. Richard Tidwell's 85 overall, 85 agility, 85 tackling, 85 speed, 82 endurance. Pretty good linebacker. And he's a coverage linebacker. So definitely a good pick for the Dolphins. The Eagles need a wide receiver, tight end, cornerback, or punter. I can guarantee you I'm not going to pick a punter. So, see how we'll go with Kevin Spence out of Rutgers for this pick, which now brings up Dallas. Let's just go back. And then once we get to pick 15, I will export just to make sure. Not sure if Templar's on. Okay, so I have a trade I'm gonna have to process anyway, so I'll let this one go through and then I'll handle the trade. Mr. Spence is a 64 strength, 75 agility, 93 speed, 90 hands, 71 endurance, 82 positional knowledge, and a deep threat, as well as being a gentle egotist. Egotist, I guess, would be the better way of saying it. And see if he has a thing. He does not. I'll give it a minute to let Templar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and export now. And I am going to process the trade. So we're going to do the trade now. So the trade that we have on the books is between Oakland and Tampa Bay. So Oakland gets safety Louis Parkle. So this and he in return gives up his 13th pick this year, which is this one, and the 2056 of next year in the third round, which is Oakland's. So it'll be that one. That looks right. Make sure I got Louis Parker, submit. Okay, team office. And I'm going to do a quick publish. Oh, that's why it went so fast. I traded up. I'm going to have to turn that off too. It wouldn't be a draft, Kevin, if Oakland didn't make a trade during the draft. And while this is happening, just on the offhand chance I have to make the pick for Templar, let me look at his team. Cowboys. Not sure Templar has any money after the Merriman deal, who's one of the better running backs. Tackle, center, tight end, wide receiver, cornerback. He definitely needs a cornerback. So just wait to see if he pops up before I make it. So if you guys are importing while I'm running the draft, just keep in mind that I'm not going to do like 10 million exports during the draft or publishes. That's a little bit of too much of a burden on me. So, but I will, anything going forward, I will do one more export somewhere in the 20s. And then I'll pick up the imports as part of that. But definitely anything from, let's just say, where are we at now? Pick 24 on. So I'll do another publish at pick 24. I'll pick up imports as that part of that. So before I publish, I'll import, catch the picks, and then anything from 24 to 32 will have to be imported for day 2. Does that make sense? Okay, so I lost a window somewhere. Okay, so I don't think Templar is Hill. And I don't think Templar actually had the ability to actually scout. Pause. Open war room. So it's been more than 5 minutes. I am going to go ahead and pick on his behalf. I don't see him around. So, okay. We're going to pick a cornerback for him. Who was next on the big board? So generally when I pick for someone, I'm going to go with what I had on the big board rather than what the CPU has. Just so that way people don't get really bad ones. So I think next on the big board was actually Steve Chapman. So we will draft him because I think these two are not going to be as good. And that brings us now to Tampa Bay, who just traded. So Cowboys select. So Tampa Bay is back on the clock. Steve Chapman is 75 overall, 75 agility, 91 speed, 55 hands, 63, knows his position well, and is a determined athlete. Played for Brian at Kent State. So up next will be Tampa Bay, then Kev with New York, will be DWK with Green Bay, Indianapolis, Buffalo, or both CPU teams. Yeah, I thought in that case he was better than he is. So far I think there are a lot of really good picks. Who do people think is probably the best pick made so far? Other than you can't say Reichert because Reichert's obvious, so he's going with Daniel Hyde. Draft options, open war room, which is who he had on his thing. And now it's over to Kevin, who is on the board. So Mr. Hyde is 85 overall, 87 strength, 62 agility, 81 speed, 69 tackling, 40 hands, 80 endurance, 82 overall skill, and doesn't have anything, but he is a chill for Joko. Had 30 sacks in college for Oklahoma State, who is actually one of the better teams in the league. So that's a good pick. I have a sense that everybody is picking who Kevin wanted. So my just so everyone knows, my board with Pittsburgh's already blown up. So I'll have to figure it out what I'm going to do there. So if we look ahead to the next picks is Green Bay had a pretty good season this year. When we get to Indianapolis, they need a wide receiver or cornerback or a strong safety. Buffalo will likely go running back or center. They have actually quite a few needs. And then, of course, felt reality is Kansas City, followed by Detroit, which is a CPU team who doesn't have that many needs. Yeah, I think Invisible might not like having two defensive ends going after Campbell, um, his young quarterback. Kevin, I would trade with you, but I don't know what I can give you. Because I might try to move up to grab somebody. Okay. See who Kevin takes. For some reason it wants Kevin to take a quarterback. And he picks Harry Mojica. I can just choose this one since that's right. Okay, up next is DWK, who looks like he has a list in. But DWK is down on the block. Mr. Mojica, 88 overall, 82 arm, 95 intelligence, 87 accuracy, 67 speed, 77 endurance, knows his position pretty well, is a diva. Which fits New York actually, but not a bad quarterback. Arm could be better, but again, he's probably one of the smartest quarterbacks in this draft. And he played smart in college, had a good college career, as you can see, as he threw for over 10,000 yards, 96 touchdowns. He's got high morale, which is what you would expect out of the diva. Not necessarily a leader or team player, but kind of does a lot of things. He definitely wants to play early. He's loyal, so it'll be easy to re-sign him. So not a bad pick. And DWK is going to go with what he had. So I really like Jose Laney. We'll see if I'm wrong on him though. So go to Jose Laney. Jose Laney is, of course, a Skeletal running back out of Louisiana Monroe. And if you know anything about SNCFL, Louisiana Monroe is one of the premier running schools. And Skeletal prefers the run over throwing the ball. So 100 overall, 95 agility, 77 strength, 92 speed, 71 hands, 64 endurance. Endurance could be better, but 99 skill. He ran for close to 8,000 yards in college. Skeletal really doesn't throw the ball, so he wouldn't have gotten that many touches, but this is a really good running back. Will be competing with people like Ford and others for like the top running back. So that's a really strong pick. And now Indianapolis, they are going to probably go either wide receiver or cornerback. Not sure that there is a really good wide receiver. Or a strong safety. Who did I have on my board? Strong safety was free safety. Did I even do one for strong safety? I did not, did I? What do I have in my notes for Pittsburgh? Because Pittsburgh was looking at strong safety. I'm going to go with Moffitt. I had Moffitt rated pretty high. So they will draft Kenneth Moffitt. Colts take Kevin. Make sure I got that Kenneth. I don't know why I'm calling him Kevin. And the next up will be Buffalo. Buffalo actually needs a running back or center. They've got, they have a really good quarterback, though more passing, so we'll probably go center. And they'll go with, I think Sauls is number 1 on the board if I remember correctly. No, it's Ott. But actually all 3 of these, any 3 of these is actually good. We will go with Sauls because he's the higher rated. This is the Bills. Take center. Let me go back here to draft. Eric Sauls, which puts Kansas City. I'll have to look and see when was the last. Take a look at these. So Kenneth Moffitt is strong safety, pretty solid, 84 agility, good intelligence, really good tackle. He's a box safety, but can play coverage as well. So 85 speed, 98 skill, good morale. Came out of East Carolina. Eric Sauls is now Bill. Again, good strength, agility, intelligence is really good. So is the speed. He's got not so good hands, but he's a really good pass blocker, which will fit the Bills. 71. He's a leader on the line. Overall, pretty good center. Let me check and see when was the last time Feld did this. Kansas City. He's semi-recently. I'll give it a few minutes and then I'll take a look. Yeah, so far, I had Laney high. Actually, if I was going to move up, he was the guy I was going to try to go after. But because Pittsburgh needs to start thinking about replacing Lackey at some point. Because Lackey's starting to get old. Even though he's, I think, like just now entering his 30s. And then it'll be Soa up, Prince. I haven't heard from Sean in a bit. Baltimore's a CPU, then it'll be Barry, CPU again. Then Peter gets 2 picks in a row before Pittsburgh goes. We'll just take a look here and see. What do I think about Keith Green? Keith Green is actually a pretty good linebacker from what I remember. He's one of Stewart's Western Michigan guys. So it's not a bad pick unless they don't need a linebacker. Oh. And just as a kind of a quick recap, this season was interesting. Of course, the champion was invisible with his Carolina Panthers. Shark was the runner-up. Stewart had a really good run with his 49ers this season, and then of course Bama had a great run with Tennessee as well. This isn't normal to see Oakland and Pittsburgh this far back, but Tennessee, if I remember correctly, Tennessee upended Oakland, and then Shark upended Pittsburgh. So really great seasons for both of them. Okay. Let me take care of Feld real quick. I'm gonna look at his roster just to make sure that this is an okay pick and he's not over picking. Kansas City roster. Yeah, he's got quite a few linebackers. Of course, against Peter, you can never have too many good linebackers. Really, what he needs is a wide receiver. But I may just auto it. Of course, last year Kansas City took Pharaoh Compton, who was the quarterback out of Georgia, who was really good. Let's just look here real quick. Where am I looking? Click that off, click that on. I'm going to go with Keith Green. Now up will be Chiefs. Select linebacker Keith Green. I'll do the Lions real quick. They're going defensive tackle. And we'll do the same thing we've been doing just to stay consistent, which is who's the best on the big board. Goolsby was Coin. I'm going to go with Traylor. And we'll look at both of those. And now so is on the clock. Open more room, recap. Okay, so the Chiefs got Keith Green, who is a 90 overall, 68 strength, 77 agility, 72 intelligence, 86 tackling, 83 speed, 87 endurance, 100, and a witty entertainer with an excellent morale. Had 5 sacks, 334 tackles, 4 interceptions, 3 touchdowns at Western Michigan, who is actually one of the better programs in the SNCFL, even though they play out of the MAC. Detroit Lions took Richard Traylor, who's out of Louisiana Monroe. This is another one of Skelter's people. 81 strength, 61 agility, 63 tackling, 61 speed, 75 endurance. Not a great defensive tackle, but he's also a workout fanatic, which means he'll get better. So, yeah, that wasn't as little bit of a miss though for me. So Miami is taking Luke Perryman. So we'll go to War Room. Just check all because Perryman's one of the top ones, so it'll be him. And go to draft recap. So Prince is on the clock. Let me just let him know. Prince is on the clock. So Mr. Perryman out of Florida State, 84 arm, 92 intelligence, 84 accuracy, 69 speed, 88 endurance, 93 good agility. He's a gunslinger, which will be a good trait to have. and he threw 462 touchdowns and 16,000 yards during his career at Florida State. He essentially took over after Asa Garcia left Florida State. So not a great leader in the huddle. Could be a better team player. He is going to be expensive whenever he resigns because he is entirely almost consumed by money and staying close to home. So great, good pick for Miami because if they want to resign him, Miami and Tallahassee are not that far away from each other. Okay. Give me a second. Thanks, Kevin, for giving me the heads up. And let me look. Hmm. Yeah, I think Pittsburgh is gonna stay pat now. Um, and I'm probably just gonna go with the best overall value. So I'm probably not gonna be interested in trading with Pittsburgh unless it involves something really nice. Um, just because I have at least one target that's still on the board that I want. Um, I will be candid. I was after Kevin Spence as well. I did also want Harold Bernil, and then I had no expectations of Reichert ever making it down to where I was drafting, so he was someone I was high on. Um, and then of course I wanted Laney, but Laney was never going to make it that far. So be interesting. So we'll go Denver, then we'll go Seattle, and I think Prince is on if I remember correctly. The problem about doing big boards with this league is traditionally a lot of my Pittsburgh picks are on the big board, which means that if people follow it or I'm picking from it for the CPUs, the chances are I'm kind of messing Pittsburgh up in the process. But Pittsburgh doesn't have many needs going into the season other than they got to start dealing with the age issue. And because Peter's getting faster and faster with Oakland, I need to start figuring out how to deal with that speed problem. Um, so Denver had a pretty good season as well, made it into the playoffs. Um, got past Kansas City, who was the other one in competition for it. So really good season for Prince after he'd been down for like a year or two. So yep, you only get faster. Um, I still think I have a good free safety and a strong safety, thankfully, that I can move around into coverage. But they're also starting to age. Pittsburgh's biggest problem is I think for the last two seasons, I've lost the quarterback for a significant part of the season. Where I've been playing my second or third string. I think this year at one point I was playing my third string and I had to bring in a quarterback because I could have potentially lost that quarterback too. Um, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think I'm gonna wait till next season because there are a couple really good quarterbacks in next season's draft. Well, there's at least one, which will probably be everybody fighting for that one who needs a quarterback, which will be Marvin Herman out of Maryland. But there's also two other quarterbacks you want to keep an eye on. One of them is at Baylor, who is just an all-around good quarterback. Okay. Uh, Kevin, if when you're ready, just post that and it meets the point totals, so you're good. I don't see. It looks like Prince is playing Eve. See if he has a list. He does. We're gonna go with Willis Thornton. Um, Broncos select linebacker Willis Thornton. Probably misspelled that, but I don't really care. And we'll take a look at him. And it now puts Seattle on the clock. Willis Thornton is really pretty good linebacker. 84 overall. Strength isn't as high as you'd want. Agility not as good, but intelligence not as good, but definitely physically gifted. 87 speed, 91 tackling, 84 endurance. Uh, doesn't have a trade, but is a really good linebacker out of UCLA. Definitely a leader on defense, as you can see. He's probably going to be like a Bill Romanowski based on disposition and sportsmanship. Um, but that is a really good linebacker. McCulloch is one of those guys. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to him in the randomizer. It's not really a randomizer. It's the formula we use for the players between the two leagues. But I think he's going to come through as like probably a second or third round pick, but he may go higher because he has some good traits that the formula picks up. Um, I think next year the clear number one is probably going to be Herman unless the calculator does something weird to him, which has happened before. But we'll see. But I think the other one is, I forget the guy's name, but he's out of Duke, which is one of Stewart's teams, which will be another good one. Yeah, Stewart's UCLA team is actually traditionally really good. Kind of got tripped up on the last sim in SNCFL, but talent-wise, UCLA is really, really good. And of course, he stole the quarterback that I was hoping to get at Maryland to replace Herman. Um, but I'm not going to really be hurting because they have a good sophomore though that can pick up the ball. We'll give it a minute and then I'll take a look at Seattle. Yeah, I've had that happen too, Stuart. Well, literally every team lost 1 week. Um, I'm happy with what Appalachian State is doing. Although I'm worried about them now with the fact that I have to bring back the really crazy quarterback that I have that can't figure out whether he wants to throw touchdowns or throw interceptions for touchdowns. Um, and we'll take a look. Yes, he's essentially Alex Orgy out of Michigan. No matter what he does, he's throwing a touchdown. And we'll see here what they have. Of course, Seattle has the immortal Crutchell. They lost wide receivers, so if I don't hear from Sean, I'm probably going to go for wide receivers. They also need cornerbacks because they're in that wild, wacky conference with LA and San Francisco between Barry and Stewart, who both have. Stewart likes to run the ball a little bit more, but Barry, of course, has that really potent offense where he can throw the ball. With, I think it's Goldman is his quarterback, if I remember correctly. I think this year we're gonna likely do the second round through the forum or through Discord. Um, Mostly because the draft can go kind of long. In the old days when we used to do, I think we did like 3 rounds when Gary was the commissioner and Frankie, and it took like better part of 4 to 5 hours. Okay, I am gonna go ahead and pick uh, Baltimore. It says to Seattle, not Baltimore. Thank you. Double checking. I I mean, we can take a break if that's what everyone wants to do. Yes. I would allow for the scout to happen in that case because people would need to. The only concern I have is there are a lot of people who are not online. Um, well, I'd prefer not to do it because it could hurt them. Now, I think a lot of people won't mind if I'm drafting for them, but at the same time, uh, if I think let's just plan on doing it next season, and let's just go with the picks can continue through Discord. Just because there are a substantial amount of people not here right now. So um, I'm gonna after actually right before Barry takes his pick at 24, I'm going to I'm gonna do an export. So I'll do the export after I pick at 23. Um, okay, I'm picking for Seattle. Just give me a second. I need to see what is still out though. That dude's pretty bad if I remember correctly. Uh, Come back to Hill. Yeah, I think let's just plan on it uh, being tomorrow, and we can do it through Discord. I'll publish the results in Discord as well. We could do both because what I'll just do is I'll pick a time and then I'll import. And for those who want to do it through file, and then for those who don't, they can just put their draft pick in the Discord channel. Just give me 1 second so I can make this pick because I don't think I see any action. No action, so this will be a wide receiver or a cornerback. Kind of needs both. He is going to go with Mata. And was anybody going to grab Baltimore's pick? Just to make sure. Because I think the one coach was going to stand pat. Mr. Mata is from Coastal Carolina. This is one of Sharks' many teams. 89 speed, 65 hands, 62 intelligence, 83 agility, 45 strength, 72 endurance. Really knows his position well. And doesn't have a trait, but had 8 interceptions, 3 defensive touchdowns in his career for the Chanticleers. And just double check how, make sure. Okay, so I think there's no action on 23, it'll be 25. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick for Baltimore, who needs a strong safety. Kevin did a really good job of stacking Baltimore over the years to where they made the playoffs as a CPU team last season, and generally were a nuisance to everybody. Strong safeties are, there's a lot of them out though. They are gonna go with, because I've got to do a big board for this. Kid from Georgia Tech is pretty good. Moffitt was one of the better ones. Actually, none of those, I think, are worth this pick. Good cornerback again. They will go with Brian Marvin out of Georgia. Ravens select Brian Marvin. Okay, I am going to import and also publish real quick. So Brian Marvin is 90 speed, 58 hands, 52 intelligence, 76 agility, 80 overall, 52 endurance. Just generally a really good person. We used to call this a Gary player. Just has really good traits across the board. Zone corner, he's excellent. Had 3 sacks, 6 interceptions for the Bulldogs. So we will go ahead and drop this. I'm going to go ahead and do an import. So I catch any changes. There are no changes, so I will publish upload. Okay. Yeah, they do. Duke had a really good set of bookends this last season, Stuart. Of course, you already know that because you have Duke. Only one of them, I think, is really exceptional. You got Fox, who I think has some of the best smarts. He is good pretty much at everything. But his endurance, I think, needs work. And then you have Spencer, who is like the poor version of Fox. Again, has issues with his conditioning, but if I remember correctly, Spencer was better in the run game than the passing game. So both are draftable in the first round. I don't think either of them is like a second round pick. So if you're looking for a tackle, I just don't think that there was as many people looking for offensive line help this season as normal. I know Pittsburgh may go guard, but it's not an exceptionally strong guard class either. Secretly hoping the player I have in the back of my mind drops to where Pittsburgh is drafting, so I only have to make it a few more picks. Go ahead and let Barry know he's on the clock. I think he has a list if I remember correctly. Okay, and we should be good to go. So go back into the draft. First thing I need to do is pause it. And we'll see if Barry has a pick in. He does, but I'll give him a minute. Which will be Harry Berry, the tackle out of Temple. If we look at who they have up next, Leroy London is actually a pretty good running back in my eyes. I'm not sure about McElroy. We talked about Fox just now. He's one of the two Duke ones. Vernon Sparks is going to be an interesting one. I'm not sure how to rate him, candidly, but I think he's a second round pick, maybe a third round. Cole Howell's definitely a third round. And then there were a couple other people. Wide receiver, I think Kenton Craven's going to be an interesting one. I don't think anyone has an arm like this guy does. His arm is probably equal to people like Witten. It's just the rest of his play I don't think is. We know he's one of the better accuracy quarterbacks out there, but I slot him as a second, third round pick. There were a couple of people on this board I expected to kind of already be gone that are kind of still there, so I'm not going to mention them because I don't want to kind of jinx somebody, but we'll give Barry a minute or two and then we will go with that. I'm actually, so we go back and look real quick while we wait a minute or two. I think this is a good pick for Cleveland. Uh, just again, a really good quarterback. The only concern there, of course, is his health. And then you have Mojica, who went to the Jets, who will replace Denham, uh, who I think, again, this is going to be a pretty decent quarterback over time. May not be in his first year or two, but will grow. Um, the Diva trade is always an interesting one because it can cause issues in the locker room. And then Perryman is a pretty good pick as well. He'll grow as well. Um, and he does a lot of things. The gunslinger trait is one of the better traits to have. I personally prefer a clutch quarterback over a gunslinger, but um, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So I am going to go ahead and make the pick just to keep us moving along. Rams, select, tackle, Harry Berry. And I think this is the one where there was a potential trade if that person wants to post it. So right now, Harry Berry is a tackle, 90 overall, 92 strength, 68 intelligence, 80 pass blocking, 92 run blocking, 74 endurance. Pretty good tackle. Traits are not as good, but he's a tenacious blocker. The morale will improve if you have coaches that can improve it. He's definitely worth the value of where he went. Yeah, I think he is. Don't think that there was a pick at 25. So I'll wait a minute. New Orleans is going to likely go either quarterback or cornerback. They'll probably go quarterback because while they have a decent quarterback, he hasn't always. He's kind of like Jameis Winston to a certain degree. They could go wide receiver too. Who is the CPU thinking of? It's not a bad pick. I just don't know if that's going to be better than who they have. Who's the quarterback, by the way? Yeah, they have Barham, who is a really smart quarterback with a decent arm. And then they have Lively, who is not as smart but has a good arm. I don't really think they need to go that direction. Cornerback. Let's see if they have a more. Actually, even though they've got guards, they do need to go guard. So they'll probably go guard. Okay, I'm going to go and pick for them. Let's see how Cleo guard. Who did I have on the board? Big board is Swan League. From a guard perspective, they'll go with Sap. And it's over to Peedle. Make sure I'm not missing any trades, and I'm not. Okay, so they choose select guard Norman Sap. Norman Sap is a 82 overall, 93 strength, 64 intelligence. Doesn't have great speed, but he's a guard. He doesn't really need that. 91 pass blocking, 74 run blocking, 63 endurance. Low morale, but again. And Peter's going to take a Phil Nye, who's out of Maryland, with his first of 2 straight picks. So let's go ahead and get him for you. So there'll be Philip Nye. And we'll show Peter what he got. Philip Nye is an 83 overall, kind of pudgy, but 62 strength, 71 agility, 76 tackling, 90 speed, 63 hands, 76 endurance, 82 overall, excellent morale. Had a pretty good career at Maryland. So, and Peter was up again. Oh man, my board is so busted. Joseph McElroy, who is the running back out of Miami. Mr. McElroy. Take a look at him. Joseph McElroy is 85 overall, 84 agility, 62 strength, 84 speed, 66 hands, 74 endurance, 89 running back, and pretty decent. Speed probably not as fast as what Peter was looking for, but not a bad running back. He'll definitely grow. He's got good ethic, which will help him. And now I have to figure out who Pittsburgh is going to take. Oh boy. Kind of feel like Kevin. My entire board has been busted. I really need to get a replacement for Lackey. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. We're going Leroy London. much as I hate Michigan. Um, so they will pick one of Stewart's running backs. Draft Leroy London. Who's up next? Tennessee's up, so this is Bama. Okay, so let's see what Mr. London looks like. '94 overall, 82 strength, 93 agility, 90 speed, 57 intelligence, 65 hands, 75 endurance, decent running back skills, and an energetic workaholic who had a really good career for the Wolverines. Yeah, you definitely could have had him, Beetle. Um, I'm kind of glad you didn't because he's the one I was hoping would fall. Because I didn't think Laney would ever make it to where I was. So we have Bama. It looks Bama has a list, so it looks like it's William Fernandez. Um, yeah, it's a nice running back to replace Lackey ultimately. He'll probably also push Lackey a little bit. Um, but I think he was one of two Michigan running backs. He was just obviously the better of the two. Generally, certain SNCFL programs you want to watch for when it comes to the draft. Michigan is one from a running back perspective. Uh, Quarterback, it's more miss than hit for them, but UCLA, almost any player on UCLA is traditionally going to be decent. Western Michigan, again, running back, but they have had some good quarterbacks and wide receivers. Defensive players for Western Michigan are traditionally pretty good. Duke, I'm still figuring out because it's another Stewart's team, but generally any player out of Georgia is going to be decent. Coastal's getting there. And then, of course, the traditional powerhouses like Louisiana Monroe, if you're looking for running backs or run blocking people, definitely that's a team you should look at. Maryland generally is across the board. Um, but there are some other teams like USC traditionally has some decent quarterbacks, wide receivers, cornerbacks. Clemson will be interesting to watch because you have Matt back, and he will have really good running game options for you. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and pick for Bama. And he picked Fernandez. So we'll go back. Who was actually who I was going to pick if uh, London hadn't been present. This is the Titans. Stewart, you are up. And Mr. Fernandez is 82 overall, 85 strength, really good blocker, got good speed. Intelligence isn't as good as you'd like it to be. Agility's good. Decent endurance, so he'll have to work on that a bit. Natural talent, which means he's only going to get better because that tends to help with development. He's got a great work ethic, very competitive. Just in general, a really good player out of East Carolina as well. So, Andres Bradley. So we'll go to the war room. We are going to pick Mr. Bradley, the tackle from USC. Take a look at him. And that will put Shark on the clock. So 82 overall, 82 strength, 52 agility, 65 intelligence. Not that fast, but really good blocker. Got good traits, athletic blocker. You have to work on his morale, but that's a good tackle. Yeah, I think when you look at the later part of the draft, like poor Invisible, since he's been here so many times, is just used to watching everybody else normally pick what he wants and then adjusting. Peter's the same way, but Peter normally has a plan and will move up to go grab picks. I think Carolina last year moved up as well to go grab a pick. Um, but like at Pittsburgh, I'm used to it because I don't traditionally trade up because I have a really rotten history when it comes to picking above like 20s. If I were to go back and look at my history, it's been bad. So I tend to stay back. The only good one I think I ever had was Jose Briggs, who was a wide receiver. And he never actually really played for Pittsburgh. I traded him to get a different pick, and then that pick was horrible. So Shark is up. Let's see how that goes. And Shark, you can take as much time as you need to. And then after that, will be Invisible. And then we'll allow people to make picks through Discord. Um, but what I will do is I'm not going to process all the picks probably until Thursday in the league file, just so I don't mess up others. And then next season we will do the first 2 rounds. Okay. If you want to look at Pittsburgh, there's a player I kind of want. I'd be willing to maybe do a trade. It's just I don't know that I will give up my first round next year for anything because I'm probably going to need that to try to move up. And I'll just do a quick thing. So, if you look at who's left on the board, from a quarterback perspective, from a running back perspective, there are a couple intriguing running backs still out there. One of them would be, where is he? Let's just look at this. If you're looking for a running back, Linville's pretty decent, I think. Could be off on him. Warden had a great career with UCLA. Maurice Edwards is the other Michigan running back I was talking about. I think it's too early to draft him. Blackwell has a lot of speed, but he's not that great of a running back. He's actually an out of the backfield running back. And then quarterback wise, I mentioned Craven earlier. Craven and Reno probably are the two best on the board right now. Craven has an obscene arm, but he doesn't have much of the other traits you're normally looking for. And Sal Freeman out of Minnesota. Let's just go ahead and check all. So, Sal Freeman, this dude. Okay. And that puts Invisible on the clock for the final pick of the day. Sal Freeman, 83 overall, 84 strength, 74 intelligence, really smart dude. 61 speed, 81.79. Athletic blocker, he'll get better. But it's pretty good system tackle. And he comes out of Minnesota where he had 182 pancakes. And Invisible will make the last pick. Hubert Marquise out of Duke. Okay, so we'll take a look at him. Mr. Marquise is 78 overall, 82 agility, 91 tackling, 82 speed, 52 hands. Intelligence isn't that high, 83 endurance. Pretty decent work ethic and competitiveness. He's a coverage linebacker. Had a pretty good career with Duke, which of course is one of Stewart's teams. Um, not a bad pick, especially at 32. So he will be the last one, and we will move to a combination of list and uh, drafting through Discord, so people can make the picks through Discord, um, and then we'll go from there. So thank you all for staying for this. General observations is Reichert is probably as good as I thought he was. There were a couple top 10 draft picks generally were pretty good hits. McKnight has the potential to be really, really good, but he's going to have to overcome his injury issues. Floyd Hammond's a great deep threat for Marcus Witten. I don't think that there were many misses in the top 10. Then, of course, Kevin Spence should have a really good career, though. Chapman is a little bit of a miss. And then as you go down, you have Laney, who's arguably going to be one of the best running backs in the league over time. Still got to compete against people like Ford out of San Francisco. And then Traylor was a little bit of a miss. Perryman is a good quarterback. And then if you go down in the last third of the draft, Oakland got a really good free safety. We kind of missed there. London is going to be a really good running back. Bradley's a really good tackle. And then Matta was a decent cornerback. So there's some really good players in this draft. And I think people are going to uh, really do well. Well, Stuart, there's some seasons where it's like this is Sharks' team like 10 million times, or this is Stewart's team 10 million times. I think you two have probably the most teams in the league, if I remember correctly. But thank you for sticking around. Next season, I am going to try to get Frankie and Gary to join, or probably won't do Skeletor because I would like to keep my channel. So but I definitely think that this was a good season. If you look at it from a perspective, I think Michigan had quite a few picks. Maryland had quite a few picks as well, where you had three in a row right here with Bernier, Dos Santos, and Overstreet. Um, and again, we will go to a thing. I will upload this here shortly. And thank you for sticking around for the like hour and a half. And we will do list/Discord for the second and third round, and then we'll move to lists for the rest of the draft. And if you're interested in joining either of these two leagues, just let me know on Discord. SNCFL has quite a few openings. That's the college league that feeds this league. They're on, I think, week 11 or week 12 of the season. And then, of course, we are in the draft right now for this. We do hold this online. We do hold the draft through the stream for the first round. Next year, we'll look to do the second round as well. There's also GMPFL, which is our GM-based pro football league, where you can do pretty much everything except for you don't control your playbooks. And of course, that one's going on right now. They'll have their draft sometime in probably the next month or two. That league tends to move a little bit slower than WWPF during the off season. But have a great evening and thank you for your time. And I will talk to you all later.